fulfilled, O Lord, the children of Edom during the day of Jerusalem. Read.
Who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof.
Destroy it. Destroy the temple. Destroy it all the way to the foundation. Get rid of all those things pertaining to the Israelites. Read.
O daughter of Babylon.
Oh, who?
Daughter of Babylon.
Read. All right, all praise to the Most High. Hey, shout out to the IT team for the nice thumbnail that they created. So the name of the class today is called Babylon the Lesser, God's Vengeance. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, leadership definitely want to make sure that we're focusing on the historical accounts of things pertaining to the different kingdoms and how forefathers operated at these times, so that we can really align ourselves with just knowing what happened in these times. We don't want to be ignorant within these scriptures. So today is going to be somewhat of a history class. I'm going to be dealing with the topic of Babylon, and this is referring to Babylon of the four kingdoms, the first one that was established. We're going to be dealing with the history of it as far as it coming into power and just getting a little bit familiar with it, right? So let me see here. Okay, so first and foremost, I want to ask, what does the word Babylon mean? What does the word Babylon mean? Okay, let's do it. MOV Jeremiah.
Land of confusion, sir.
You all right. All praise to the Most High. Give it up for the brother. Now, one more question. Where can I find that at MOV Jeremiah within the scriptures?
That I forget, sir. I think it should be Genesis. I forget, sir.
You say you think it's Genesis, but you forgot?
Yeah, forgot the verse.
Okay. Okay, MOV Micaiah. I don't know what be going on. MOV Micaiah.
Shalom, Captain. Most High Christ bless.
Hey, Most High Christ bless you, sir.
Yeah, that will be Genesis 11, I think 6 or 7.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Genesis 11, 6 and 7.
You all right. So now, before they give it up for the brother, all praise to the Most High. Hey, y'all better be studying out there. A big salute. All right, all praises. So now, before we get to Genesis chapter 11, let's go to Genesis chapter 10. Let's get a little historical account dealing with that. Genesis chapter 10. Verse 1. My bad.
The book of Genesis, chapter 10 and verse 1. Mm-hmm. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood.
Right, so the flood happened. The Lord saved 4 men and their 4 wives. That's Noah, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their wives. And those men were used to repopulate the earth. So those men were used to repopulate the earth, right? So now in that, do me a favor and jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. And the sons of Ham.
The sons of who?
The sons of Ham.
So one of Noah's sons, Ham, this is his lineage. Read on.
Cush and Mizraim and Phut and Canaan.
So out of Ham came Cush, Mizraim, and Phut and Canaan. Read.
And the sons of Cush.
And now of the sons of Cush, who you got?
Seba and Havilah and Saptah and Ramah and Sapteca and the sons of Ramah, Sheba and Dedan.
Okay, read. So now these are the lineage of Cush. Read.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Who did Cush begat?
Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth.
So Cush begat Nimrod, and Nimrod began to be a mighty one upon the earth. Nimrod began to be a mighty one upon the earth. Read.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
Nimrod was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Before the Lord. Read on.
Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord.
Read.
And the beginning of his kingdom.
And the beginning of Nimrod's kingdom
was Babel.
Was what?
Babel. And Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
In the land, all of these places, Babel, Erechah, and Akkad, and Calneh, and the land of Shinar. So Shinar was a land. This is also too known as Mesopotamia, right? So now dealing with Nimrod, go to 1 Chronicles chapter 1, and we're going to read verses 8 through 10. 1 Chronicles chapter 1, verse 8 to 10.
This is the book of 1 Chronicles chapter 1 and verse 8. The sons of Ham, Cush and Mizraim, Put and Canaan, and the sons of Cush, Seba and Havilah, and Saptah and Ramah and Sapteca, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba and Dedan.
Mm-hmm.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
Uh-huh.
He began to be mighty upon the earth.
So now I want to deal with that topic of mighty upon the earth. We're dealing with Nimrod, and it says mighty upon the earth. IT, also Zahariah, I sent you something. If you could do me a favor, the last one. What does Nimrod name mean? Because Nimrod's name itself is going to give you the context behind when it says he began to be a mighty one upon the earth, and he was a hunter, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Go ahead and read that, also Nehemiah.
From the Jewish Encyclopedia, Nimrod, son of Cush, and grandson of Ham.
Right, so we just read that in Genesis chapter 10, as well as in 1 Chronicles chapter 1. Read on.
His name has become proverbial as that of a mighty hunter.
So his name was well renowned as a mighty hunter. Read.
His kingdom comprised Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh.
So we just read that. Read.
And the land of Shinar, otherwise known as the land of Nimrod.
Okay, so then jump down. Nimrod.
Nimrod is the prototype of a rebellious people. His name being interpreted his name being interpreted as he who made all the people rebellious against God.
So that's what Nimrod means. He who made people rebellious against God. So when it says he was a mighty hunter before the Lord, he was a hunter of souls to oppose the Heavenly Father. That's who Nimrod was. And he was doing a lot of damage on earth at that time. And that was his kingdom that was in rulership. So then now go to Genesis chapter 11. Genesis chapter 11. And we're going to read verse 1 through 9.
The book of Genesis chapter 11 verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
Hey, they should have been a bomb for that, by the way. Should have been a bomb for that. Hey, it is what it is. IT, they got to wake up. But anyways, Genesis 11 and 1. Go ahead.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech.
So the whole earth at that particular time during Nimrod's dominion, they was of one language and they was of one speech. That means that they all said every word in every sentence the same way, same dialect. There was no accent. There was no one say tomato, one say tomato. Everything was on point as far as how everybody spoke. Right? Read on.
And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
Right. Shinar is that what Nimrod's land is. Read on.
And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar.
So this was used for the construction and building up of a building. Read on.
And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower.
A city and a tower.
Whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
So let us go and let us make a name. This is all nations at one point in time on one accord to do this. Read on.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men builded.
So Christ came, he visited, he saw what they was doing. Read.
And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do.
Right. So now their mind frame is going to try to stretch far beyond this, and they already committing evil deeds. Read.
Go to, let us go down and there confound their language.
So then he told the angels, let's go down there and let's confound their language. They all speak the same thing. They all want to accord, and this is what they do as far as conspiring against me. Read on.
That they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth.
Right, and I appreciate you, IT. If we can get a glimpse of an idea of what the Tower of Babel looked like, this is what it would be. And there's many images that I could have chosen, but I like this one in particular is because we don't necessarily know how high it went, but just know it went up past the clouds where you couldn't even see it. So That was the Tower of Babel that they built it. Christ came down. He saw this tower being built and how they had pride in them, that they had in their mind frame that they was going to do more worse than this as far as opposing God. So the Lord sent angels to confound them. Read verse 9.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel.
So therefore, the name of it is called Babel. Read.
Because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth.
So the Lord confounded the language of all the earth. Read.
And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Right, so that's where the Lord created confusion. From their confusion, the Lord created confusion by scattering them and separating them from their languages to where they can't communicate. So this is where Babylon originate from, right? So then now, let's do me a favor. That was the biblical understanding behind what this Babel come from. Now, dealing with the kingdom itself, when it was established, they named themselves Babylon as well, and this is where it stems from. Go to Bible Hub. You should see it.
The name Babylon is deeply rooted in ancient history and biblical narrative, carrying significant theological and historical implications.
So what we just read, dealing with the historical context of it, that's the theological comprehension. But also, too, there's a historical implication from the Babylonians themselves on what they deem Babel to mean. Go ahead.
The origin of the name is traditionally linked to the Hebrew word Babel, which is derived from the Akkadian Babelim, meaning gate of God.
Gate of what?
Gate of God.
Uh-huh.
This etymology reflects Babylon's status as a major center of Mesopotamian culture and religion.
So they refer to Babel as the gate of God because ultimately that was like the capital of the world at that time, to where the land of Nimrod, Babel, at that particular time, Mesopotamia, that was the ruling class or the ruling city place of the world. And all cultures would go to that place. That's where they build up the tower to heaven. So that's where it originated from. And the reason why they call it the gate of God is because they thought that to be the place of a center of wisdom and things pertaining to religion and culture. That's why they call it the gate of God. That's another example of the idea of how they tried to oppose God. That's how this kingdom was. So that's why the Lord ended up bringing forth judgment on them, right? So now dealing with the new kingdom of Babylon, that kingdom came into existence, and also to the same place that Babel was, Babylon also too was. In the Mesopotamia area, land of Nimrod, the Babylonian kingdom, when it came into power, the exact same place it started to inhabit. Do me a favor, go to Daniel chapter 1, verse 1. So now we gave you the old Babel, the originated, and now we're going to start to deal with Babylon, which is that the first of the four beasts or the four kingdoms that came up. Daniel chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Joachim, king of Judah.
So this is during the last time periods of when the kingdom of Judah was in power. Now you're going to have it to where Babylon is going to start to come into play, and we're going to go into captivity. This is the last king at that time. Read it again.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it.
So this is Nebuchadnezzar coming into Babylon, to Jerusalem, and to besiege it. Read.
And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God.
So not only did Jehoiakim, king of Judah, go into his hand, but it mean he held him captive, but also too, he took part of the vessels of the house of God, meaning the holy vessels and all the stuff that was inside the temple. Nebuchadnezzar took all of it out the temple. Read on.
Which he carried into the land of Shinar.
Into the land of what?
Of Shinar.
Into the land of Shinar. The land of Shinar is the exact same place as land of Nimrod, as well as the land of Mesopotamia. It's all the exact same place. Read.
To the house of his God.
Uh-huh.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God.
So the land of Shinar is where the house of Nebuchadnezzar's God was. And he brought the vessels into the treasures of his false deity, his false God. That's what Nebuchadnezzar did, right? So now dealing with both of these kingdoms under Babel in Genesis chapter 10 and 11, as well as this same Nebuchadnezzar here, those both are Cushite nations. Cushite nations. Who can answer? Who are those nations today? Who are the Cushite nations today? Who can answer that?
Hello, Captain.
Oh, brother Coyote, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey,
It's a little
salute
dark
to you,
here.
brother. Say it again.
I'm fine. It's a little dark here. Shalom, Most High in Christ bless.
Most High in Christ bless.
Yes, the Cushite today are the Ethiopians.
The Ethiopians, that is right. All praise to the Most High. Hey, good hearing from you. I hope all is well on your end. But yes, that is correct.
Yes, sir.
The Ethiopians, that's who the Cushites were. So Nebuchadnezzar, Cushites. Nimrod, Cushite. These were Ethiopians. So now, do me a favor. I'm going to send you a map. I want you to pull up this map because I want to show y'all the visual of Mesopotamia. And then besides that, okay, yeah, that's good. So as you can see, this is what you call the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Right there it says 625 to 539 BC, but more accurately, it's actually going to be 605 to 539 BC, because during the time period of Nebuchadnezzar, he was the one that was fighting to get rulership to happen. But then under Nebuchadnezzar II is when that kingdom started to actually be in its glory, to where there was no other nation to come against Babylon. So that's why it says 605 to 539 BC. But right here, this map, all you see in that purple that's in the center, this is the Babylonian kingdom. And as you can see to your left, you got Judah, Moab, and Edom, Jerusalem. This is when Nebuchadnezzar had Jerusalem under its dominion, as well as all these other parts, Damascus, the Hittites area, Aram, all of that. And right there where it says Babylon, I believe that's where the capital was, to where Nebuchadnezzar brought his God to. All right, so y'all don't have a mouse where y'all can hover over there, huh? Okay, perfect. So I like this map because it's the same thing dealing with the Babylonian kingdom. So the green is their reign. So Babylonia, and then all the way to the left, you got Palestine, that's dealing with Jerusalem. So in that, you see at the top right, that's like a modern day map to give you the concept of their rulership. So thank you. So then now when you go to Babylonia, that's where Iraq is. So currently today, where you see Babylonia, which is where the capital was, it was very close to Iraq and Kuwait. That's modern day Babylon. This is where their rulership was at, right? So I just want to give you all the context of it as you look on the map. So this is what Babylon looked like during the time period of rulership and who they had under their dominion, including, when you look up there, it says Nineveh. Nineveh is where the Assyrians was, where Babylon ended up conquering the Assyrians. This is what Jonah was prophesying against when he was speaking about there's going to be destruction that's going to happen to Nineveh. That later happened by the Babylonians, as well as, what's the other nation? The Persians, I believe it was. The Persians and Babylon. Matter of fact, get that in Tobit 14:15. Actually, start at verse. I'm kind of deviating just a little bit. I hope y'all can keep up with this history. Start at verse 1, I think.
Tobit, chapter 14 and verse 1. So Tobit made an end of praising God, and he was 58 years old when he lost his sight, which was restored to him after 8 years. And he gave alms, and he increased in the fear of the Lord God and praised him.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. Go into Media, my son.
Go into Media, my son. Read.
For I surely believe those things which Jonas the prophet spake of Nineveh.
So we just showed you Nineveh on the map, because the Assyrians or Nineveh was the ones that took northern kingdom captive. So he says, I surely believe those things which Jonas the prophet spake of Nineveh. Read.
That it shall be overthrown, and that for a time peace shall be, and for a time peace shall rather be in Media.
And for a time period, there's going to be peace in Media. That's who conspired with Babylon to destroy the Assyrians. Read on.
And that our brethren shall lie scattered in the earth from that good land, and Jerusalem shall be desolate, and the house of God in it shall be burned, and shall be desolate for a time.
Now, that portion right there of the latter part of verse 4, where it says Jerusalem shall be desolate, the house of God in it shall be burned and shall be desolate for a time, that's what we're going to start to get into as far as dealing with the Babylonians coming into our temple and destroying Jerusalem. And also, too, you having the nation of Edom that's rejoicing and that's pushing Babylon to do that, to destroy our temple. So then I jump to read verse 8.
Verse 8. And now, my son, depart out of Nineveh, because that those things which the prophet Jonas spake shall surely come to pass.
Verse 15.
But before he died, he heard of the destruction of Nineveh, which was taken by Nebuchadnezzar.
Taken by who?
Nebuchadnezzar.
It was taken by Nebuchadnezzar, read.
And Assuerus. And before his death, he rejoiced over Nineveh.
Right, and Assuerus is Ahasuerus, which is the same king that you read about dealing with Esther. This is where the Medes and the Persian came, but then before they came into power, Babylon came into power first, right? So just to give y'all the historical context behind that. So then now, go to, we read Daniel chapter 1 dealing with where Shinar was dealing with the Babylonian kingdom. All right, do me a favor. I want you to pull up this map. The one with all of the prophets. Did I send you that? The timeline. All right, so I just sent it to you. Now, if you can pull it up. Now, this is going to be a timeline of the prophets. It's not from their birth to death, but more so their time of prophesying or the ministry that the Lord has given unto them. Now, this is it's good to be able to look at these timelines because you can somewhat visually see what time period were the prophets on the scene, and then most likely what they was prophesying against. Because you have some like Jonah, he prophesied against Assyria. You had Joel, no, not Joel. You had Hosea, he prophesied against Assyria. I believe Amos as well prophesied against Assyria, right? Because that was the kingdom that was in power at that time or coming into power. So now what we're going to more so look at is during the time period of Isaiah, which is before Babylon. And then we're going to start to read about, or not read about, but we're going to look into Jeremiah, Daniel, Ezekiel, Obadiah even, and Habakkuk, which all dealt with the kingdom of Babylon. And this is Babylon at that time, meaning 605 BC. This is Babylon at that time. But then what you start to read about as you study these scriptures, you'll start to see how some of the similar occurrences that happened with Babylon at that time also too is prophetic for Babylon at this time, which is America, right? So dealing with, let me see, who do I want to start with first? You can keep that map up there. It's all good. So now dealing with Babylon, it reigned from 605 BC to 539 BC. Now, you had the prophet Isaiah. His prophetic time period was around 740 BC to 698 BC. Do me a favor, read Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1. All right, read that.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 1. The vision of Isaiah, the son of Amos, which he saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah.
Right, so if you look at that map, you see Isaiah, and then you see the kings that he was referring to. Okay, Uzziah and Ahaz. So you see Uzziah there, and right after Uzziah, you got Jotham, you got Ahaz, right? Am I missing anybody?
Hezekiah.
Yeah, and Hezekiah. And Hezekiah would be right after Ahaz. So that's the prophetic time period. So really, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 1 gave you the timeline in which Isaiah existed, which correlates with this scripture here. So during those kings of southern kingdom, all being in their rulership, Isaiah was there prophesying as a prophet, right? And what he was doing was he was forewarning them of the sins that they was doing against the Father, in which the Lord was going to end up causing judgment to happen, and these kings wouldn't listen at that time. All right. So then now, next you got Micah. Micah was around the time period of 740 as well with Isaiah through around 700 BC. So around the same time period was Micah the prophet there. And this is before Babylon came into play or into power. Read Micah chapter 1, verse 1.
Micah chapter 1, verse 1. The word of the Lord that came to Micah, the Morishthite, in the days of Jotham.
In the days of Jotham, we see there right under Isaiah. Read.
Ahaz. And Hezekiah.
And Hezekiah, same exact kings. Read, southern kingdom.
Kings of Judah.
Kings of what?
Kings of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria and Jerusalem.
And Micah saw things pertaining to Samaria, which is northern kingdom, and Jerusalem, which is southern kingdom. So he was a prophet that was doing a prophesy, dealing with the sins that he saw during his time period from his prophetic viewpoint. Next, Habakkuk. Go to Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 1. So now Habakkuk, he was alive during the Babylonian time period. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to make this a class where I'm going to build up from. Meaning that today I'm more so kind of giving an introductory to the Babylonian kingdom and the prophets that was there at that time. And then later on, Lord willing, soon to come, I'm going to actually start to deal with each prophet in a viewpoint of what they saw pertaining to Babylon. Because when you read about Habakkuk, he was one of the ones that was the poor of the children of Israel that was left in the land. And Daniel was one of the first to be taken because he was of a higher, how do you say? He was of like the king's lineage, and he was very wise. He was of the poor. I mean, he was of the rich and not of the poor. He was very brilliant, smart, and Nebuchadnezzar, as far as being able to build his kingdom up, he decided to take all the wise of the people from Jerusalem first, and that's why Daniel got taken first. But Habakkuk was left in the land because he was the poor of the land. All right, so Habakkuk time period was from 626 to 597 BC. So he was there during the time period of the Babylonian kingdom and their rulership. Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 1. The burden which Habakkuk the prophet did see. O Lord, how long shall I cry, and thou wilt not hear?
So Habakkuk, as he see all of what's going on of Nebuchadnezzar coming into the temple, and he's taken all those rich people and he took all of our vessels from out of it. He's taken all the wise, all of our leaders from out of it, and now there's remnants that's left behind, and there's a destroyed state that happened to Babylon. That happened to Jerusalem. So Habakkuk, he's seeing all these different things. What did he say again?
O Lord, how long shall I cry?
How long should I cry seeing the affliction that just happened to my people? Read.
And thou wilt not hear. Even cry out unto thee of violence, and thou wilt not save.
Read.
Why dost thou show me iniquity, and cause me to behold grievance? For spoiling and violence are before me.
So spoiling happened to the people in Jerusalem, and violence happened unto them. Read on.
And there are that raise up strife and contention.
Read on.
Therefore the law is slacked.
The law of God is slacked. Read.
And judgment doth never go forth.
And nobody's enforcing judgment of God anymore. Read.
For the wicked doth compass about the righteous.
There's more wicked individuals that was left in Jerusalem than the righteous. Read.
Therefore wrong judgment proceeded.
Therefore evil, perverted judgment from evil men have proceeded. Read on.
Behold, ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously.
So now the Father, or Christ, is saying, behold ye amongst the heathen. I'm about to perform a marvelous work amongst these people, meaning Jerusalem. Read on.
For I will work a work in your days, which you would not believe, though it be told you. For lo,
this is what Christ would do. Read on.
I raise up the Chaldeans.
Who is the Chaldeans? Who can answer that? Who is the Chaldeans? We got MOV Jeremiah again. Hey, the brother in the spirit, man. He's active. He's involved. Where the rest of y'all brothers at, man? Come on, we all prophets. We all prophets. Hey, if you sit next to your wife, man, hey, don't be bashful. Some of y'all brothers, y'all bashful because y'all next to your wife. Hey, show y'all wife you know the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Who you got? Brother Koina? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shalom, shalom.
Hey, Messiah Christ bless.
Messiah Christ bless. So the Chaldeans are the Babylonians.
Exactly right. The Chaldeans are the Babylonians. And my fellow prophet, also Nehemiah, has a precept to help y'all out. Go ahead.
The book of Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 12. But after that, our fathers had provoked the God of heaven unto wrath.
So our fathers, which we're going to read about, they provoked the God of heaven unto wrath. Why? Through their sins. Read.
He gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar.
He gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar.
The king of Babylon.
The king of who?
King of Babylon.
The king of Babylon, read.
The Chaldeans.
The Chaldeans.
Who destroyed this house and carried away the people away into Babylon.
Right. So now you're going to start to see how the precepts help paint the picture of what all transpired during that time. So the Chaldeans being Babylon, being Nebuchadnezzar. So then what did Habakkuk say again?
Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 6. For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation.
Chaldeans, Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, that bitter and hasty nation. Read.
Which shall march through the breath of the land.
What land? That land is referring to Jerusalem that the Lord put in the spirit of Babylon to siege or to take because of the sins of our forefathers. Read.
To possess the dwelling places that are not theirs.
To possess the dwelling place, which is Jerusalem, which is not theirs. So that's Habakkuk's account. So then now, let's go back to the map. To the timeline of the prophets. The timeline of the prophets. So we got Habakkuk, we got Micah, we got Isaiah. Let's get Jeremiah, powerful prophet. So Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 1, Jeremiah was alive during the time period of 626 through 587 BC. This is Jeremiah. So Babylon, while they was in power, Jeremiah was there also too. All right, Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 1. The words of Jeremiah, the son of Hilkiah, of the priests that were in Anathoth in the land of Benjamin.
So what was Jeremiah? He was a priest. He was a priest. He was from the tribe of Levi. Read on. In the land of Benjamin. He was a priest from the tribe of Levi in the land of Benjamin. Read.
To whom the word of the Lord came in the days of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Judah.
So when you look at Jeremiah on the timeline of the prophets, it speaks about Josiah. Read.
In the 13th year of his reign. And it came also in the days of Jehoiakim.
We see right next to Josiah, Jehoiakim. Read on.
The son of Josiah, king of Judah.
Read.
Unto the end of the 11th year of Zedekiah.
And we see Zedekiah right next to Jehoiakim. Read on.
The son of Josiah, king of Judah.
Read.
Unto the carrying away of Jerusalem.
Unto what?
The carrying away of Jerusalem. Captive in the 5th month.
Right. And right next to Zedekiah, you see destruction at Jerusalem at 607 BC. So that's the timeline. So Jeremiah, he was a part of the beginning of Babylon coming and conquering and taking over Jerusalem. He was there to see all of that from the time period of the kings all the way into the carrying away into Babylon. So then, what verse was that?
That was verse 3.
That was verse 3. All right, so now we can't forget one of the mighty prophets. Let's go back to Daniel chapter 1, verse 1. So now Daniel, also too, as we explained earlier, he was a part of the Babylonian kingdom. He was a very youthful man when Babylon came and seized Jerusalem and took Daniel himself as well as some of his people away captive. So he was, during his time of prophetic visions and how the Lord dealt with him was from the time period of 603 to 536 BC. Now I'm saying that as I look at the screen, some people they taking notes and some people they not. This is good information to make sure we understand what's going on at this time and what time period were these kings and rulership. As well as this map right here is an excellent map. You can go on Google and you can type in timeline of the prophets and you can find this exact map yourself, right? So 603 to 536 BC is when Daniel was living in his prophetic time. So we're going to read Daniel chapter 1, verse 1.
The book of Daniel, chapter 1, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it.
So just like it says right there, when you look at Daniel, where's Daniel? Okay, I see Daniel, and then it says Jehoiakim right there, right underneath his name, right? Read.
And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, with part of the vessels of the house of God.
So with part of the vessels of the house of God, that's when Nebuchadnezzar came into for the first time. Read.
Which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God.
We read that earlier.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed,
and of the
princes,
and of the rulers. Read.
Children in whom was no blemish.
There was no fault found with them,
but well favored, and skillful.
Well favored and skillful.
Skillful in all wisdom.
Right, read.
And cunning in knowledge. And understanding science.
Read.
And such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
We're going to deal with that part right there, that they may teach the learning and tongue of the Chaldeans. We're going to deal with that later. Read on.
And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king.
So they was taken care of, and they was taught the ways of the Chaldeans, and including their tongue, for 3 years, that they may be prepared so that they can stand before the king. Now, in that, read.
Now among these were the children of Judah,
The children of Judah,
Daniel, Hananiah,
Uh-huh.
Mishael,
Uh-huh.
and Azariah.
Right. So that's where Daniel came into play, where his prophetic reign starts to begin. And you can read a little bit of his account as far as being a young man when you go into the book of History of Susanna. It gives you a good account on how the Lord started to first deal with Daniel. So now, next, Ezekiel. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Ezekiel was alive during the time period of Babylon's kingdom as well. His time frame was 593 to 571 BC. 593 to 571 BC. And these are just approximate dates of their time of prophesying. Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 1. Go ahead.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kibar,
By the river of Kibar, read.
that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God.
Uh,
In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity,
right. So this is dealing with Jehoiakim, the king. Read on.
the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel,
The Lord at that point in time started to deal with Ezekiel. Read.
unto Ezekiel the priest,
Uh-huh.
the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans.
In the land of the what?
of the Chaldeans.
So Ezekiel was taken to the land of the Chaldeans, meaning just like Daniel was brought to the land of the Chaldeans, the same thing happened with Ezekiel. Habakkuk stayed back. Why? Because he was poor. Ezekiel was one of the ones of the Levitical priesthood that was taken as well. Read on.
by the river Kibar,
Uh,
and the hand of the Lord was there upon him.
So then Ezekiel also too was in that captivity, right? So that's the majority of them. Obadiah was also too there. He was there, but I'll deal with Obadiah a little bit later. So now, let's do me a favor. We're going to kind of get into it. Go to Zechariah chapter 1, verse 18. Zechariah 1 and 18.
The book of Zechariah, chapter 1 and verse 18.
Come on.
Then lifted I up mine eyes and saw, and behold, 4 horns.
So now, as the Lord is always dealing with the prophets, he's given them prophetic visions. Zechariah, he behold and he saw 4 horns. How many? 4. Read.
And I said unto the angel that talked with me, what be these? And he answered me, these are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem.
So these 4 horns are the horns that have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. I have a question. Of course I got a question, right? What are those 4 horns? Who can help me out? What are those 4 horns? Desego? Lesego?
Shalom, Kev.
Hey, Messiah Christ bless.
Sacred place. I think it's the 4 kingdoms.
And what are those 4 kingdoms?
Babylonian, Persia and Mede, Greek, and Rome.
What's the last one?
Roman kingdom.
That's right. Big salute. You got it. Hey, all praises, brother, in the spirit. Big salute to that, brother. Give brother, you know what I'm saying, a round of applause. We're supposed to have the sound effects, you know what I'm saying? Hey, but IT, they dead today. It is what it is. So the 4 horns is referring to those 4 kingdoms. The same that you see or read about in Daniel chapter 2, and the same 4 kingdoms that you read about in Daniel chapter 7. The 4 horns are the 4 kingdoms. Babylon first, Persia Mede second, Greece, and then Rome. We're dealing with the first one of those 4 horns, right? But now I'm trying to get to a point, so keep reading. Verse 20.
Verse 20. And the Lord showed me 4 carpenters.
So now he showed them 4 horns, now he's showing them 4 carpenters. Read on. A carpenter is made to build. Read on.
Then said I, what come these to do?
So what come these to do? Read.
And he spake, saying, these are the horns which have scattered Judah.
So these are the horns, meaning Babylon, Persia, Mede, Greece, and Rome. These are the 4 horns with the intent and the thought to destroy and to scatter Judah. Read.
So that no man did lift up his head. but these are come to fray them.
But then those 4 carpenters are come to fray them, or to terrify the 4 kingdoms. Read.
To cast out the horns of the Gentiles.
To cast out the power of the Gentiles. Read.
Which lifted up their horns over the land of Judah to scatter it.
Right. So what is this going into? Each kingdom, each of these 4 horns, they had carpenters within these different kingdoms. So Babylon, they had carpenters. Persia, Mede, they had carpenters. Greece, they had carpenters. Rome, they had carpenters. These carpenters were supposed to terrify the nations because God is going to use them to prophesy during the time period of these kingdoms. So then, guess what? Y'all should have the understanding behind who's the carpenters within the first horn being Babylon. So somebody tell me, who are the carpenters that are in that first horn, Babylon? Soldier Bears.
Yeah, Shalom, Calvin, Son Christ.
Son Christ bless.
First, this first set of you have Daniel, Jeremiah, you have Ezekiel. I think you have Isaiah in there too.
You say who? Who's the last one?
Isaiah.
So I wouldn't say Isaiah. Why wouldn't I say Isaiah?
Idea, sir.
You say you don't know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because was Isaiah alive during the time period of Babylon's kingdom?
Oh, I got it now.
He wasn't, right?
Is it Habakkuk?
Yeah, Habakkuk's one. You're right. And one more. It's on the map.
Let me see. Jeremiah, Daniel, Habakkuk. Haggai? No.
Nope, not Haggai, because he was during the time period of the Persian Medes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll give it to you for time's sake. Obadiah. The shortest book.
Yeah.
Obadiah. Hey, but excellent job. All praise to the Most High. Excellent job. So you understand the concept. So dealing with each of these kingdoms, you're going to have mighty prophets where they're going to prophesy during the time period of these kingdoms, and they're going to put fear in these kingdoms. Because when you understand Daniel, Nebuchadnezzar feared Daniel. When he started to see, he was able to see these dreams and how the Lord was dealing with him, he humbled himself greatly and says, you are, how you go? It's in Daniel chapter 4. Let's get it real quick just to prove my point. Daniel 4 and verse, Holy One, Holy God. Or the Daniel 5. Daniel 5, and let me see. Oh, that's 6. Is it 5? No, yeah, you read that.
The book of Daniel, chapter 5 and verse 11. There is a man in thy kingdom, in whom is the spirit of the holy gods.
There is a man in thy kingdom, Nebuchadnezzar, who has the spirit of the holy gods. He's talking about Daniel. Read.
And in the days of thy father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, was found in him, whom the king Nebuchadnezzar, thy father, the king, I say, thy father, made master of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. For as much as an excellent spirit and knowledge and understanding, interpreting of dreams, and showing of hard sentences, and dissolving of doubts were found in the same Daniel.
Right. Go ahead.
Whom the king named Belteshazzar.
Right. So the wisdom and how the Lord dealt with Daniel, he started to become a problem. That's why they threw him in the furnace, because he defied their God. And then when he was inside that furnace, he didn't die. There was a fourth man whom looked like the Son of Man, which we know that was talking about Christ. Christ is right there with Daniel, making sure that Daniel don't get no harm. He was in the lion's den. The lion didn't want to eat Daniel. He didn't even touch him. But then as soon as they threw their man in there, the lion devoured them. Tell you, man, it's a whole bunch of history behind that, dealing with even Habakkuk coming to visit Daniel when he was in the lion's den. It's a lot of history in this, a lot of history, right? So we understand now. You got the 4 kingdoms, and in each kingdom, you're going to have some prophets that's going to bring problems to these different kingdoms, right? So now, my question is, why did all these things occur? Why did Babylon come to us? Why did we have to deal with the consequences of being slaughtered, being taken, our temple being besieged and destroyed? Why did that happen to us? Go to Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. Watch this.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So Moses is letting the children of Israel know that it will come to pass that if you didn't hearken to the commandments of the Lord thy God to observe to do them, that curses will happen to all of y'all as a nation. Because Moses was speaking to him as a nation, right? So now do me a favor, get 2 Ezra chapter 5, verse 42, and we're going to come back. 2 Ezra chapter 5, verse 42.
The book of 2 Ezra, chapter 5 and verse 42.
Yep.
And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring.
The Lord says that he is liking his judgment unto a ring. That means just like a ring is a circle, God's judgment, it comes back like a circle. The Lord judges the same way every time. God's judgment is the same, and it comes back like a circle. So then now, go back to, matter of fact, keep reading, I'm sorry.
Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first.
Right. God's judgment is going to be the same. So then now, I want y'all to have spiritual eyes as we read in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. We understand and we use it for these last days, dealing with how you had the eagle, America, came to us, and he brought us into a land, and we was, sold on ships and all these different things. But then watch how, as we read about the Babylon kingdom and how Deuteronomy 28th chapter, it actually correlate with them too. So we're going to read Deuteronomy 28, verse 49.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 49.
Read.
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
So now, how we normally use it, that's referring to America. That's referring to, America, and that's referring to us being in the land of Africa, and then us being brought over here to America by slavery. That all transpired. We didn't understand their language. They spoke English or whatever, and we spoke our dialects as far as wherever we were scattered at. But then now watch this. Go to dealing with swift as the eagle fly. Go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 1. As swift as the eagle flieth. Daniel chapter 7, verse 1.
The book of Daniel chapter 7, verse 1.
Read.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed.
Read.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night.
I saw in my night's vision when I was asleep upon my bed. Read.
And behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
Right. The four winds of heaven is referring to those four kingdoms. The four winds of heaven is referring to the four kingdoms. And when it says strove against that great sea, pull up a map. Pull up a map. You can go on Google, type in maps to show you what the great sea is right here. Let's pull it up. Everything happens around this great sea. Now just put maps. The Google Maps. Yeah. All right. And then let's show it on the scroll. You can scroll out. Nope, just you ain't gotta do all that. Yeah, there you go. And then let's go over to the Middle East. Keep going. Right there. Now, do me a favor. Right in between Spain and Iraq. Zoom in right there. Between Spain and Iraq. To your left. Right. Keep going. Nope, other way. All right. The Great Sea, nope, scroll back out. The Great Sea is referring to the Mediterranean Sea. You got all nations right there. You got your Arabs, you got your Africans, you got your Roman or your Europeans. You got the all the nations are right there. This is that Great Sea when it says the four strove. I'm sorry, read that again.
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
The great sea is a Mediterranean sea. Read.
And four great beasts came up from the sea.
And four great beasts came from this area, from the Mediterranean Sea area. Read.
Diverse one from another.
Read.
The first was like a lion.
So now the first one was like a lion. But watch this. Read.
And had eagle's wings.
And had what?
Eagle's wings.
Read.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Now, what kingdom is that referring to? We all should know. That's referring to the Babylonian kingdom. The Babylonian kingdom. That's referring to Babylon, and the lion with the eagle's wings was the animal that was symbolic for that kingdom. Now, why did it do that? When you read Ecclesiastes 3:18, let's just read it real quick. Ecclesiastes 3:18.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 18. I said in my heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts.
Right. So the nations, God would consider them as beasts. So as he describes Babylon, he described it as a beast, a lion with eagle's wings. Just like with the Persian Medes, that the bear lifted himself up on one side is referring to Persia. But the bear is symbolic for the Medo-Persian Empire. Just like with Greece, it was a leopard. Just like with Rome and America, it's the eagle when you read in 2nd Ezra, right? I think it's chapter 11 or chapter 13, one of them two. But going to the point, it described Babylon being a lion with eagle's wings. Now, when you understand a lion is made to conquer. They have no fear. But what does the eagle's wings mean? Go to Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 1.
What was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize they.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
But the Zulu nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again, 31.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 4, verse 1. If thou wilt return, O Israel, saith the Lord, return unto me, and if thou wilt put away thine abominations out of my sight, then shalt thou not remove.
So now jump to verse 4.
Verse 4. Circumcise yourselves to the Lord, and take away the foreskins of your heart.
That's your mind. Put off that filthy mind and purify yourselves. Read.
Ye men of Judah and inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire.
Lest my fury come forth like fire. Read.
And burn, that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings.
Because of the evils of your doings. Read.
Declare ye in Judah, and publish in Jerusalem, and say, blow ye the trumpet in the land. Cry, gather together, and say, assemble yourselves, and let us go into the defense cities. Set up the standard toward Zion. Retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north and a great destruction.
So the Lord is telling Jerusalem, prepare yourselves. Prepare for war. There's going to be an evil that's going to happen. Why? Because of the sins that our forefathers have committed. Now watch what he says next. The Lord is going to let us know who it's going to be that he's going to send from the north to attack us. Read.
The lion.
And when it says from the north, it's always referring to Jerusalem being the center, and then the north is referring to north of Jerusalem. When it says from the west, it's referring to west of Jerusalem. When it's referring to the east, it's referring to the east of Jerusalem. So now from the north of Jerusalem, what's going to come?
The lion.
The what?
The lion.
Read.
It's come up from his thicket.
We just read the lion in Daniel chapter 7 with Babylon. The lion is come from his thicket, from his place. Read.
And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way.
And the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. Read.
He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate.
So now, go to verse 13.
Verse 13. Behold, he shall come up as clouds.
He shall come as clouds. Read.
And his chariot shall be as a whirlwind.
Read.
His horses are swifter than eagles.
So what is it talking about when it says the lion with eagle's wings? It's referring to how quick they was able to conquer the earth, the Babylonian kingdom. Not only was they a fierce kingdom, but they conquered it swift, just like an eagle. So go to Lamentations 4:19. Lamentations 4:19.
The book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verse 19. Our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of the heavens.
Our persecutors, Babylon, they're swifter than the eagles of the heaven. Read.
They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness.
Right. So that's showing you when you go back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 49, it says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. That far in here is talking about the north. And from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. Then it says, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So go to Daniel chapter 1, verse 4 again. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 4. Children in whom was no blemish.
So we just read about them. Read.
But well favored and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
So the Chaldeans, we had to be taught their language. We didn't know that. We spoke our dialect of Hebrew. Go to Jeremiah 5 and 15.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 5 and verse 15.
Read.
Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language thou knowest not.
Right. So when it says it is an ancient nation, because those was the same nations that was in rulership during the time of Babel. That's that ancient nation. Now they're coming back into power, and they have a tongue or a dialect that you don't know. Read that again.
Lo, I will bring a nation upon you from far, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. It is a mighty nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language thou knowest not.
Read.
Neither understandest what they say. Their quiver is an open sepulchre.
Meaning that when it comes to their warfare, they ain't gonna play no games with us. Read.
They are all mighty men.
And they are all mighty men. This is the Lord bringing the Chaldeans against us, the Babylonians against us because of our sins. Read verse 20.
Verse 20, declare this in the house of Jacob, and publish it in Judah, saying, hear now this, O foolish people, and without understanding, which have eyes and see not, which have ears and hear not. Fear ye not me, saith the Lord? Will ye not tremble at my presence, which have placed the sand for the bound of the sea, by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass? And though the waves thereof toss themselves, yet can they not prevail. Though they roar, yet can they not pass over it? But this people have a revolting and a rebellious heart.
So our constant rebellion is why the Lord put that spirit on the Babylonians, the Chaldeans, and Nimrod to come against us. That was of our doing. So as he did that, he sent that nation against us, who they were swift as the eagle flying, whose tongue we could not understand, that fierce nation. So now go back to Deuteronomy 28 and read verse 50.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Right. So yeah, America did that to us. But then watch this. Go to 2 Chronicles 36 and 15. 2 Chronicles 36 and 15.
The book of 2 Chronicles chapter 36 and verse 15. And the Lord God of their fathers sent to them by his messengers, rising up betimes and sending, because he had compassion on his people and on his dwelling place. But they mocked the messengers of God.
So the messengers of God were those that he brought up to warn our people to stop sinning. By example, Isaiah was speaking about Babylon before Babylon came into power. He was warning our people, meaning we was in the midst of all type of iniquity. The young men, they was ruling over the elders. They was declaring their sins in Sodom and Gomorrah, meaning that they was in the midst of all type of idolatry, and they was declaring it openly. Whatever God they wanted to serve, they did it with no conscience. So because of that, the Lord sent forth prophets like Isaiah, like Amos, to warn them, turn away from your sins. But then they despised and mocked the messengers of God. Read.
And despised his words and misused his prophets. until the wrath of the Lord arose against his people, till there was no remedy.
Now, the Lord's anger was just continuously inflaming to the point where he says, I'm not turning away my anger now. Now I'm going to put it in the spirit of these heathen to bring forth judgment to y'all because y'all don't want to fear me. Read.
Therefore, he brought upon them the king of the Chaldeans.
The who?
The king of the Chaldeans.
That's your Babylon, and that's Nebuchadnezzar. Read.
Who slew their young men with the sword in the house of their sanctuary.
Read.
And had no compassion upon young man or maiden, old man or him that stooped for age. He gave them all into his hand, and all the vessels of the house of God, great and small, and the treasures of the house of the Lord, and the treasures of the king, and of his princes. All these he brought to Babylon.
All those he brought to Babylon. But he showed no mercy towards the young, towards the old, towards the women, towards the men. He didn't care who you were. The Lord put it in the spirit. This is God's vengeance because of the sins that we committed as a people. But it's not done yet. Read.
And they burnt the house of God.
They did what?
And they burnt the house of God.
Read.
And break down the wall of Jerusalem. And burnt all the palaces thereof with fire. And destroyed all the goodly vessels thereof. And them that had escaped from the sword carried he away to Babylon.
Those that escaped from the sword, when the Lord put it in their spirit to come through, they escaped from Babylon from the sword, but then they ended up getting caught captive and brought to Babylon. Read.
Where they were servants to him and his sons unto the reign of the kingdom of Persia.
Right. Now get Psalms 137, verse 7. So now dealing with, and all the vessels, let me see, verse 19. And they burnt the house of God and break down the wall of Jerusalem and burnt all the palaces thereof with fire. There was a spirit that was put on Babylon to do so. Obviously, it was the Lord, but then guess what? You had somebody that was rooting for our destruction at this time. Read that, Psalms 137, verse 7.
The book of Psalms, chapter 137, verse 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem.
Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom during the day of Jerusalem. Read.
Who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof.
Destroy it. Destroy the temple. Destroy it all the way to the foundation. Get rid of all those things pertaining to the Israelites. Read.
O daughter of Babylon.
Oh, who?
Daughter of Babylon.
Read.
Who ought to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
Now watch this. Watch how the Lord is going to deal with Edom. Because you rejoice to see the destruction of our temple, the Lord says, happy shall he be that's going to reward thee as they rewarded us. This is going to be another nation of people that's going to reward Edom for what they've done and rejoicing as far as our temple being destroyed. Read.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone.
Who is going to do that? Your Arabs. Who is going to do that? Your Arabs. When you read in Isaiah 13, they're going to be the ones to take the children of Edom and dash their babies. And they're going to rejoice in that. That's the spirit that the Lord is going to put upon the Arabs. That's why when you read about Obadiah was under the Babylonian kingdom. But he wasn't concerned about Babylon. Who was he prophesying against? He was prophesying against Edom because they rejoiced to see the destruction that happened unto. As a matter of fact, get that, Obadiah 1 and 12. Obadiah 1, verse 12. This is to give you a historical context pertaining to Babylon.
The book of Obadiah, chapter 1, verse 12.
Read.
But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother.
On the day of Judah and Jerusalem. Read.
In the day that he became a stranger, neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah.
They rejoiced over the children of Judah. Read.
In the day of their destruction.
In the day that Nebuchadnezzar came against us. Read.
Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress.
Right. They spoke proudly against the Lord's special people. So judgment is coming for them. That was a quick side note. Obadiah, he was focused on them. You know what I'm saying? He didn't care about Babylon. He said, I got something for y'all to eat. I'm going to prophesy against y'all. So now, go back to Deuteronomy chapter 28.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 51.
Yep.
And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle.
So jump down to verse 52.
Verse 52. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest, there throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which the Lord thy God hath given thee.
Right. Jump down to, go to 2 Kings 25, verse 1. 2 Kings 25, verse 1. he shall besiege thee in all thy gates. I do apologize. I forgot. I may be speaking a little fast, so hopefully y'all able to keep up. All right. So I might need to slow down just a little bit. I'm just trying to get all these precepts out. So give me a thumbs up if y'all good. All right, let's get it. I see a couple of thumbs up, so let's get it. Go ahead.
2 Kings chapter 25, verse 1. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came.
Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came. Read.
He and all his host against Jerusalem.
He and all his army against Jerusalem.
And pitched against it.
And they pitched against it. Read.
And they built forts against it.
And they built forts to battle against it round about. Read on.
And the city was besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah.
And the city was what?
Besieged unto the 11th year of King Zedekiah.
Read.
And on the 9th day of the 4th month, the famine prevailed in the city.
Meaning because they didn't have any water, they didn't have any food, so famine prevailed in the city. They became distressed. Read.
And there was no bread for the people of the land.
Because they couldn't go out and bring food in. Read on.
And the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled by night by the way of the gate between two walls, which is by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were against the city round about.
So the Chaldeans, they sieged the city that was round about it. Read.
And the king went the way toward the plain. And the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king and overtook him in the plains of Jericho. And all his army was scattered from him. So they took the king and brought him up to the king of Babylon, to Riblah, and they gave judgment upon him.
Read.
And they slew the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes.
So not only did they have Zedekiah, but they slew his sons before his eyes. Read.
And put out the eyes of Zedekiah.
They said, this is going to be the last thing that you're going to see. I'm going to kill your sons before you, and then I'm going to stab your eyes out. So that'll be the last thing you see. Read.
And bound him with fetters of brass and carried him to Babylon.
And they put feathers of brass on him, and then they carried him to Babylon. Captivity. That's what they did. So now, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Come on, soldier Peter. Come on, Peter. What's up, bro?
Yes, sir. Shalom, officer. Shalom. Shalom, Captain Mustang Christ best. So all this ties to Deuteronomy chapter 28.
That's it. Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, the 15th verse. Because of our sins, this happened. Our doing is resulted of God's anger, and he used the heathen to have vengeance. Get that one in Psalms. You know what I'm looking for? Yeah, 13, 17, something like that.
The book of Psalms, chapter 17, verse 13.
Yep.
Arise, O Lord, disappoint him.
Arise, O Lord, disappoint him. Read.
Cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked.
Deliver my soul from the wicked. Read.
Which is thy sword.
Thy sword. Thy sword. The Lord used the Chaldeans as a sword against us to bring forth judgment. It was because of the sins that we committed. Go to, okay. I'm going to see how we're going to get through this because we got about 20 minutes, I think. Yeah, 20 minutes. So go to Deuteronomy 32, verse 10. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 10.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 10. He found him in a desert land.
So God, Christ, he found us in a desert land. Read.
And in the waste, howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye.
He kept us as the apple of his eye. Go to Psalm 17 and 8. He kept us as the apple of his eye.
The book of Psalms, chapter 17, verse 8. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings.
So what was the Lord doing? He was protecting us. He became our protector after leaving the land of Egypt. So this is going to be Deuteronomy 32 is a historical account. Go to verse 10. Deuteronomy 32, verse 10.
Deuteronomy chapter 32.
Verse 11, I'm sorry.
Verse 11. As an eagle stirreth up her nest, fluttereth around her young, spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them, beareth them on her wings.
So this is the Lord providing for us. Us leaving out of Egypt, God starts to provide for us. Read.
So the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him.
And it was Christ himself and there was no strange God. All the gods of Egypt, the Lord judged them. He left out of the land, and now the Lord is the God that is protecting and providing for us. Read.
He made him ride on the high places of the earth, that he might eat the increase of the fields.
Read.
And he made him to suck honey out of the rock, and oil out of the flinty rock.
So the Lord started to provide for us. Just like we read in Matthew 6:33, the Lord started to take care of us as children with the Father. Read.
Butter of kine, and milk of sheep, with fat of lambs, and rams of the breed of Bashan, and goats, with the fat of kidneys of wheat. And thou didst drink the pure blood of the grape.
Right. So watch this. Go to Genesis 15, verse 13. 15:13.
The book of Genesis, chapter 15, verse 13.
So this is the exact account right here. Read.
And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
So this is when we was in Egypt. We was in Egypt for 400 years, and that great deliverance happened. Read on.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
Right, that's where he brought, he killed their firstborn. He brought all manner of pestilence against them, and then he even closed the Red Sea upon them and killed a lot of them. Read on.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
That great substance we came out with was all the stuff that we've taken from the captivity of Egypt. This is when the Lord started to take care of us. Meaning that we came out with a whole bunch of wealth. We came out with their cattle. And then the Lord started to be our protector. Then as you start to read about the time period of Joshua, the Lord raised him up and he started to fight against all the nations. And we was winning battle after battle after battle. This is how we start to get our land inheritance. The Lord started to provide for us. We became wealthy. We started to flourish with wealth, our clothing. Get Ezekiel 16:10.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 16 and verse 10. I clothe thee also with broidered work, and shod thee with badger skin, and I girded thee about with fine linen, and I covered thee with silk. I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thy hands, and a chain on thy neck. And I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thine ears, and a beautiful crown upon thy head.
This is us after leaving out of Egypt, and we start to get into our kingdom. Right? This is during the time period of around King Solomon's time. Read on.
Thus was thou decked with gold and silver, and thy raiment was of fine linen and silk and broidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour and honey and oil, and thou wast exceeding beautiful, and thou didst prosper into a kingdom.
And we prospered into a kingdom. That's King Solomon's time. Read on.
And thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty.
All the other nations, they started to admire us as a kingdom. You had Queen Sheba, came from the south, and she came to visit us. She was blown away. All these nations, they started to admire our beauty. Read on.
For it was perfect through my comeliness.
So God is the one that provided this for us. Read.
Which I had put upon thee, saith the Lord God.
Read.
But thou didst trust in thine own beauty.
But then we start to become corrupted. Watch this. Read.
And playedest the harlot because of thy renown, and pours out thy fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was.
Right. So now go back to Deuteronomy 32. This is the same context, same thought process. Deuteronomy 32.
15.
Is that, yeah, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 15. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked.
As the Lord provided for us, he took care of us. We waxed fat. Read.
And kicked. Thou art waxen fat. Thou art grown thick. Thou art covered with fatness. Then he forsook God, which made him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation.
So when it says Jeshurun waxed fat, that's during the time period of King Solomon's kingdom. 1 Kings 10 and 23. 1 Kings 10 and 23. So where it says in verse 15, but Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked, thou art waxen fat, you want to underline that and put 1 Kings 10, 23, and it's dealing with Solomon. Go ahead.
The book of 1 Kings, chapter 10, verse 23. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. And all the earth sought to Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart.
Right, saying the exact same thing that Ezekiel 16 was saying. Our fame went throughout the whole world. The kings admired our beauty. That was when King Solomon was in power. But then now, going back to Deuteronomy 32 and 15, it says, then he forsook God and he made him lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. Can somebody help me out? How did we forsake God? How did we forsake God in the context of how we're bringing this out? All right, Brother Coena.
Hey, Shalom, Captain. Most High Christ bless.
Most High Christ bless.
We began to serve strange gods. We went into idolatry.
Okay, and where did it begin with? You're right, but where did it begin with?
I would say in the time when the kingdom was split into two.
No, sir. Before that, try something else. What else? What else you got? Before the kingdom was split. I'll help you out even. Why was the kingdom split?
All right. So from the beginning, maybe then when we came out of Egypt in Exodus, when we worshiped the golden calf, and in Deuteronomy 7, we were warned not to worship the gods of those nations we went into, but then we began to do that when we got to the land.
You're right there. You're right there. You used the perfect precept, Deuteronomy 7:3. That was the perfect precept. You right there. Somebody who want to help him out. You right there. Brother Coyote.
Shalom. I think, if I recall, it says that Solomon then started having many wives and having wives from strange.
Let's get it.
That was it.
That's it. Let's get it. So, hey, the first brother, you was almost there because that sin was also too committed by Solomon. Solomon committed the sin. We read about in 1 Kings chapter 11, and that became the downfall of us as a nation. That's when Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked and forgot the rock that lightly esteemed him. God esteemed us and made us to be the greatness that we were, but then due to Solomon and what he did falling off, the Lord became angry. The kingdom became split. Read that. 1 Kings 11:3, I think.
Yes, sir. We'll start on 1. 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father.
Verse 11.
Verse 11. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant.
Right. When you read the history, the servant is referring to Jeroboam. Jeroboam was of the tribe of Ephraim, I believe, and he was a servant to Solomon. Solomon was in his kingdom, and he saw Jeroboam from the tribe of Ephraim, who was industrious within his work. So he brought him under him, and he became a servant unto Solomon. And then a prophet came and told Solomon, because of his transgression, that he's going to rend the kingdom from him and give it to his servant. That's Jeroboam. But then he left a portion of it for the house of David's sake. So David kept Judah and Benjamin and Levi, and Jeroboam, his servant, had the rest of the tribes under his dominion. That's a little bit of history for it. You can read it in chapter 12, but we're going to read chapter 12, verse 23.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 23. Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and to all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, ye shall not go up nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me.
So the Lord is letting him know, letting the northern kingdom know, don't fight against, Rehoboam, southern kingdom. He's letting southern kingdom know, don't fight against Jeroboam in this deed. Read on.
They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord, and returned to depart according to the word of the Lord. Then Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein. and went out from thence and built Penuel.
Right. This is Jeroboam, the servant of Solomon, who is going to end up having the rest of the kingdom, northern kingdom, under his dominion. Read.
And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord.
So they understood, Jeroboam understood, based off of Deuteronomy 16:16, that you had to go to Jerusalem 3 times of a year to reverence the Heavenly Father. So him acknowledging that, Jeroboam says, I don't want northern kingdom to go back and to give reverence and possibly again turn their allegiance back to the southern kingdom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build our own God for them to stay here in Ephraim, and they're going to worship a false deity. That way they won't turn back to Jerusalem. This is the history behind it. Read.
Even unto Rehoboam, king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Judah.
Read.
Whereupon the king took counsel.
So now this is his counsel.
And made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel.
Behold your gods, O Israel. Read.
Which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Read.
And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan.
So to keep the preeminence of the people, he took the golden calves, which our forefathers knew back in Egypt. He created that again, and then he put them on 2 mountains for the people to come and worship the golden calves, as opposed to going to Jerusalem and worship the one true living God. This is the beginning of the fall of the northern kingdom, to where they constantly stayed in idolatry. Jerusalem, Judah, they was in the spirit at one point, right? So now, keep going.
And this thing became a sin.
And that thing became a sin. What verse you at?
30, verse 30.
Okay, so now go to chapter 13, read verse 1.
1 Kings chapter 13, verse 1. And behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of the Lord unto Bethel. And Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense.
So there was a prophet who then comes later on. This is the course of time. Not everything has happened back to back to back. As time progressed, Jeroboam, he's off. He got the people worshiping the golden calf. So now there's a prophet that comes from the land of Judah, and he comes to prophesy against Jeroboam. Read on.
And he cried against the altar in the word of the Lord.
So he cried against the altar that has the golden calf. He rebuked it. What is this sin that you're doing? Read on.
And said, O altar, altar, thus saith the Lord, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name.
A child shall be born to the house of David. His name shall be Josiah. Read.
And upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee.
So Jeroboam, where you're offering these strange incense to these strange gods, I'm going to have it to where you're going to have a king named Josiah who's going to come from the house of David, and he's going to burn all your false prophets on the altar. All those that are doing evil deeds, Josiah is going to come and bring judgment to all y'all. Read on.
And he gave a sign the same day, saying,
and he gave a sign unto Jeroboam the same day, saying what?
This is the sign which the Lord hath spoken.
Read.
Behold, the altar shall be rent, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass, when King Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of God, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, lay hold on him.
So he put his hand from the altar, and he told all of his men, Jeroboam told all his men, lay hold on him, capture him. How dare he speak this against me, the king? Read.
And his hand, which he put forth against him, dried up.
And then his hand got stuck. It got stuck. He couldn't move it. As he was pointing at the prophet, his hand got stuck. Read.
So that he could not pull it in again to him.
Uh-huh.
The altar also was rent.
And the altar broken, just like the prophet said. Read.
And the ashes poured out from the altar.
Uh-huh.
According to the sign which the man of God had given by the word of the Lord.
Right. So now, that was judgment, or that was prophetic for what judgment was going to take place with Jeroboam for the evil he did. Now, watch this. Go to 2 Kings chapter 22. We're going to read verse 1 through 2 and then verse 8.
2 Kings chapter 22, verse 1. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 31 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Jedidiah, and the daughter of Adaiah of Boskai.
Right. So now, at 8 years old, that prophet that spoke about Josiah previous chapters ago in 1 Kings chapter 13, we're in 2 Kings chapter 22. This is when Josiah started to come on the scene. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Remember, it was our sins that caused Babylon to happen. So during a time period of King Solomon's rulership, we was in our glory. But then King Solomon went off. He caused Jeroboam to go off because now northern kingdom is split. They worshiping the golden calves. Also, too, guess what? Judah started to move treacherously just like northern kingdom. They started to commit idolatry. They started to go off. And this is starting to kindle that anger within God's people because the kings that are corrupted are now starting to corrupt God's people. And this is starting to kindle in that anger that brings the wrath of God by bringing the Chaldeans of Babylon to bring affliction to God's people for the sins that they are not turning away from. God got angry, and now his anger no more could be pacified. So what God do here is he's bringing King Josiah to try to flip things up. So now watch this, read. Josiah's purpose was to get rid of all of the evil. But watch what happens, read.
And he did that which was right in the sight of the Lord.
Josiah did that which was right in the sight of the Lord, read.
And walked in all the way of David his father, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left.
Read.
And it came to pass in the 18th year.
Verse 8.
Verse 8. And Hilkiah the high priest said unto Shaphan the scribe, I have found the book of the law in the house of the Lord. And Hilkiah gave the book to Shaphan, and he read it. And Shaphan the scribe came to the king, and brought the king word again, and said, Thy servants have gathered the money that was found in the house, and have delivered it into the hand of them that do the work.
So I'm going to tell y'all what happened. As southern kingdom, northern kingdom, they was going off, they forgot the law of God, meaning they didn't have the Bible anymore. They was doing things of their own will, of their own understanding. Now, during the time period of King Josiah's rulership, one of his priests, they went into the temple, and they discovered the book of the law. So then Hilkiah bring this book of the law to King Josiah. Read.
They have the oversight of the house of the Lord. And Shaphan the scribe showed the king, saying, Hilkiah the priest have delivered me a book. And Shaphan read it before the king.
So, how you say his name?
Shaphan.
Shaphan read the Bible to the King Josiah. Read.
And it came to pass, when the king had heard the words of the book of the law, that he rent his clothes.
That he did what?
Rent his clothes.
He became humbled. Why? Read.
And the king commanded Hilkiah the priest, and Ahiakim, the son of Shaphan, and Achbor, the son of Micaiah, and Shaphan the scribe, and Asahiah, a servant of the king, saying, Go ye, inquire of the Lord for me, and for the people, and for all Judah concerning the words of this book that is found. For great is the wrath of the Lord that is kindled against us, because our fathers have not hearkened unto the words of this book, to do according unto all that which is written concerning us.
Right. So they discovered that, man, the Lord is going to judge us behind things pertaining to the commandments because we have not been keeping them. So King Josiah, seeing that, when you read chapter 23, let me take it. Read verse 6.
2 Kings chapter 23, verse 6.
So this is Josiah being reactionary to what was going on as far as all the things that was done wrong between the kingdom of Judah and northern kingdom. Read.
And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people. And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites.
So we got to listen to this. In our kingdom, there was Sodomites that was there. This was going on in our kingdom under these kings. So as King Josiah sees this, he's purging all the evil that was going on within our kingdom. Read.
And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites that were by the house of the Lord, where the woman wove hangings for the groves.
So then you had women who would go to groves and they would worship idols there. All this was by the temple. Read.
And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Judah, and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense, from Geba to Beersheba, and break down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Joshua, the governor of the city, which were on a man's left hand at the gate of the city.
Read.
Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren. And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech.
Right. So Josiah started to get rid of all the evil as he read the book of the law and he realized what the children of Israel were doing. So Josiah's job, as what the man of God that came from Judah established, he's going to come and he's going to switch all this around. He's going to burn the prophets, the false priests. He's going to take them and burn them on the same altars of where you're getting reverence to these false gods. He's going to destroy all of that. Now, King Josiah did do that. Now, after King Josiah's death, what do y'all think happened? That's right. Unfortunately, we went off again. We went right back into sin. And then that's why God's anger wasn't pacified, and that's where he started to bring forth Nebuchadnezzar. Go to chapter 24, verse 1, and then we're going to close it out in verse 3.
2 Kings chapter 24, verse 1. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, and bands of the Syrians, and bands of the Moabites, and bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servants the prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did, and also for the innocent blood that he shed. For he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon.
Right, so Manasseh ended up killing a lot of the prophets. So this is just the introductory class to Babylon, showing you the sins that was committed, because you got to keep in mind, remember how it said, raise it to the foundation thereof, and how Edom, they took part in rejoicing at the destruction of the temple. Our temple at that point in time was very glorious, because that was during a time period of peace. And you had the wisest man on earth at that time, King Solomon. He was the one that helped construct this glorious, beautiful temple. But then Babylon, they came, they destroyed all of that. And Esau right there, raise it, destroy all of that. Now, all of this happened because that was God's vengeance to the people, because we started to go off. We wasn't getting right. He would send prophets. He used King Josiah to try to get us in the spirit. After King Josiah died, we went right back off. So the Lord said, I've had enough. So now, Lord's willing, soon to come, I'm going to continue dealing with the Babylonian kingdom, and I'm going to start to dive into the historical account of, from the different prophets' perspective on what they said would transpire, like going from Isaiah time period, what Ezekiel saw, what Jeremiah saw, Habakkuk, because I want us to start to really understand the whole concept of these prophets at these times and what they was dealing with, the adversities that happened. So, hey, that's it. That's all I got. All praise to the Most High. Hopefully it was an edifying class for y'all. I appreciate y'all, and Lord's willing, see y'all again soon. Most High in Christ bless, and prayers up. Blessings for Africa. Most High in Christ bless.
Across the earth, the prophets move. From city streets to distant lands, the message is the same. Israel must rise. Through every quest, every journey, the truth spreads. No border can contain it. No distance can silence it. Our nation lives in every moment. In joy, we celebrate marriages. In sorrow, we honor our dead. On the Sabbath, we gather as one. Families rejoicing together, bound by the commandments of God. Yet are we tried. From the stones in Kenya to the hatred in Montana, we endure as a soldier of the Lord. And still, the mission expands. On the airwaves, on the screens, in every nation under heaven, Israel's voice is heard. We build our communities. We raise our children in royalty. We restore what was broken. We clean what was defiled. We show the world who we are. This is Israel united in Christ. Nation in motion, nation endures.